Hi, my name is John Halderman. How committed are you to actually changing the world? Enough to face the frustration with how little human behavior has actually changed? If so, allow me to help you see change in a new light, in a way it's never been understood before, with the help of the scorpion, and doing something the scorpion can't do. To envision a better world, a more equitable society, a shift in humanity where people get along, are more understanding, compassionate, and loving, more cooperative. Think of a couple of things that you would like to see change for the better in the world. Okay, are they related to any of these? Hatred, selfishness, greed, racism, unhealthy food, water quality, inhumane conditions, war, divisiveness, health care, social inequities, the economy, manipulation, crooked government, the environment? What if I told you that these are not really problems at all, and not labeling them as problems is the only way to change them? You will see in a minute why, terming them as problems, we perpetuate them. First, would I be correct to say you are feeling somewhat frustrated with the slow speed of beneficial change in the world? And you wonder why so many people appear to not care, and some even to purposely cause more issues? Do you feel confused, alone, blaming others, maybe even guilty about what is not being done to make progress towards a better society, a world we can all get along in? And do you sometimes struggle with wondering how you can personally help affect real change for society, the world, and yourself? And what if there is a way to greatly enhance real change, where you can be fulfilling your desire to be the change the world needs, and realize you are making a positive contribution to a more unified, peaceful world, and that this is something that everyone could be doing, simply by leveraging the power of one new revolutionary technique that enables you to effectively connect your dreams with the dreams of many people. You will experience the power of making effective change benefiting yourself and everyone. This unique approach to changing human behavior will turn struggling visionaries like yourself into inspiring success stories who are affecting positive change. Shortly, you will recognize in ways never done before through human history. Listen, I get if this sounds too good to be true, and it's only normal to feel a bit skeptical, seeing what's going on in the world today. Let me ask you this. Would hearing more about this new method interest you if I virtually guaranteed it would save you years, even decades, of continued heartache and disappointment from just watching things continue on as they have? Stick with me here and you'll see exactly how we will be pulling off what humanity has struggled with forever, and how you can participate with the greatest shift in how we live and interact, and why I showed you that scorpion. Plus, I'll reveal the real reasons why commonly used methods to change human behavior for the better have had little to no positive results, yet are constantly promised as solutions, yet often leaving us worse off than before. It's a reason very few, if any, experts talk about, yet it's the one single factor behind any and all real change in human thought and behavior that every serious changemaker must understand in order to succeed in their life and for the world. And just a word of warning, the odds are against you or anyone making any real change until you get this, unless you're doing it accidentally. Now, I'm not a pessimist, but we must face the historical evidence. Sadly, most of human behavior has not really changed much. Now, this is not taught in schools, and most experts don't yet get it. It's not what is accepted based on their conventional training, so please allow your mind to be open here. Are you aware of how scary it is to think we just continue going along with the current methods trying to fix or improve human behavior, promising a better life, yielding the same kinds of results over and over? Or that we keep allowing ourselves to be divided and manipulated by the status quo, those individuals and groups perpetuating their exclusive self-serving agendas? And consider that the failure rate for people who leave it to others, choosing to do nothing about changing the world, their society, or even themselves, is a perfect 100%. And as frightening as it may sound, the people who expect all others to change, yet not changing themselves, are perpetuating the reason humanity is not changing. The continuation of these prospects does not bode well for you or for any of us. We need something more than just endless band-aid fixes that don't seem to actually resolve much of anything. We need a different way of approaching things that instigates real change at the root level of the cause. So why should you listen to me with all this? I'm not so special, except that I just didn't follow along so well with the commonly accepted definitions and explanations of things. My mind went in other directions, connecting the dots in unusual ways. Viewing and thinking differently all my life has led to this. For 43 years I've studied how life works and what we can do with it from various different angles, investigating many areas of science, psychology, philosophy, religion, and spirituality, looking deeper into various ideas, their common connections, and practical applications. All of this without getting deeply entangled in any one set of ideas, perspectives, or teachings, allowing me to see the forest through the trees in ways not commonly noticed. This unattached perspective and open contemplation led to discovering the foundational key to all human behavior, our personal foundation of operation, leading to how any major change must take place with ourselves, our societies, and in the world. Believe me, it wasn't that long ago when I didn't think any of us could have much effect on anything other than minor changes to society or the world. Even making changes to my own personal life had its challenges. Yet I curiously persisted, allowing my intuition to speak, refusing to give in to the way it is and how it always has been perspectives, feeling deeply that there was more to why we function as we do and what we can do with it. What you're about to hear is raw and unfiltered, and it isn't the normal self-improvement feel-good pablum. This may be somewhat challenging, as it is not constrained by any of the theories and concepts commonly accepted. I won't censor or sugarcoat anything, even when it flies in the face of some conventional wisdom. We absolutely cannot continue using the same basic concepts and thinking that have us perpetuating the same old patterns, can we? I will do my best to explain this in ways that allow you to see it for yourself. I feel the lessons I learned along the way will save you months, years, even a lifetime of frustration. At age 22, I was very perplexed with all the different explanations about life and how they appeared to be the cause of so much confusion, disagreement, even hate and fighting. I set an intention to find the commonality between all the various ideas expressed from religions, spirituality, philosophy, psychology, and science, which I feel I have discovered after many years of open-minded, unattached study and contemplation. For most of my life, I've had a voracious curiosity with how we can improve and enhance our lives, much of which I implemented for myself, experiencing many beneficial results. Yet there seemed to be certain aspects of how I functioned which remained unchanged, as if there was something holding me back. It seemed like there was a wall or something I could not penetrate, something to do with repeating mental patterns that didn't serve me well. And this seemed to be the case not just with myself and other individuals that I talked with, also on the macro level of society, all of humanity. More on this in a minute. Through many years, I would go back and forth between focusing on fine-tuning my own thought and behavior and being deeply focused more on the life reality of family, work, money, and security. Then in 2009, after a period of experiencing several years in and out of frustration, I drew a line in the sand. I declared not to go on as I had been, to get to the root of why I was stuck with repeating automatic patterns that seemed to be holding me back. No more. Then, over a year of digging deeper into my psyche using various techniques and methods, contemplating a multitude of ideas and concepts, resulting in a much deeper realization of myself and life, that is how I started, and now it has evolved into what I'm sharing with you here. The life I'm living now is open and expanded in so many ways, enabling me to see real possibility for humanity to make a major shift, and how each of us plays a role, a very important role. It really turned around for me personally once I discovered and started using what I'm sharing with you here today. First, let's get clear on your primary intentions with changing the world and yourself. This is what you really want, let's be honest. You desire to be free, to fully express yourself, to live peacefully and happy, interacting with people harmoniously, without a lot of restriction, struggle, and resistance that we are so accustomed to. And you may want to see the whole of humanity operating as a functional unity with the planet, in a respectful and caring manner, without harm and destruction, and without constant anxiety and fear. In support of this, you want to see some real changes in the world, perhaps even to be the change yourself, able to easily participate with positive change intentions and actually realize effective results. If you're anything like me, you want all of this, making the world a better place for everyone, all people living peacefully, connected, in harmonious unity, society serving and supporting all people, freely moving forward, furthering beneficial change, unobstructed, government leaders honoring and respecting the needs of all people, businesses valuing life over an exclusive profit motive, all human valued, respected, everyone enjoying freedom of self-expression, all people honoring the earth as our life support system, enjoying the process of life. However, the stakes are higher than you think. While I've already clarified that most efforts to change human behavior in the past have not been very effective, I'm beyond confident that the concept I'll share today will give you new hope and spectacular success when it comes to supporting and realizing real change, and that by taking action from the right perspective, you can realize many more dreams for yourself, society, and the world. However, just know this, there are serious consequences for not taking the right action. Besides continuing to accept the same old band-aids change promises, you may also fear that the way things are cannot be changed. Now that's the worst case scenario, but it is basically what people have been allowing to go on since I don't know when. We must ask, could we end up killing off humanity or destroying our planet home if we just continue on as we have been? And neither of us wants this to continue happening to you, me, or anyone. So it's time now for all of us to get moving in a new direction. First, let me tell you how the story turned out. My life became very different. The real turning point came when something momentous happened. While I was doing my self-work and research into how life works, I got a profound realization that I am connected to everything. Not just an intellectual idea, rather a deep feeling and knowing, which I came to realize is our inherent oneness, our innate connection to all people, to the planet, to the whole of life. This is what we are, before we acquired ways to perceptively separate ourselves from others. This is what many scientists are finding, that everything is made of the same stuff, an undefined energetic something, which becomes everything. Knowing this inherent connection changed the way I perceived most everything in my life and the world. This altered my state of being to where I am no longer so judgmental, reactive, and stressed, now more calm and peaceful, in the moment. And I came to know that I am more than the self-identity I had thought I was, yet this feeling of connection didn't eliminate nor diminish any individuality. Rather, I actually gained everything that I had previously been selectively excluding from my defined concept of self. The biggest shift I experienced with this realization was with my perspective, how I function day to day. Instead of what I was desiring for myself being exclusively just for me, what I wanted for myself now included all people. Basically, look at it like this. The same way you honor, respect, and care about all the individual parts of your body as your whole body, you see all people as parts of the whole humanity. I'll be sharing more with you about this and how it wonderfully expands your life in the days to come. For now, this experience also led me to discover how any individual, an entire society, and even the whole of humanity can make a shift to thinking and acting as one functional unity by knowing we are interconnected. This changes everything. Haven't you noticed how people will treat someone they perceive connected with somehow better than those people they think they are not connected to? A perception of connection changes everything. So believe me when I say there's a lot of hope and possibility for us with how we can change for the better. Now let me ask you something. What would your life look and feel like if this could help you erase the challenges you have faced with living the life you deeply desire for yourself and all people? Would you enjoy seeing the changes you want for the world realized? People getting along harmoniously, feeling calm and peaceful, and freely expressing themselves? This is individually experienced by many people who already realize they are inherently connected with the whole of life, with all people, even though much of the world is currently embroiled in separation-based turmoil. And I want the same for you. I truly believe that by following my realization, you too can enjoy a world where people get along and thrive as a unified society. I say this with quite a bit of confidence because of the thousands of men and women much like you who are already living this way, enjoying life more and being the change they want for the world and for themselves, resulting in each contributing to a more compassionate, peaceful world. First, make sure you don't get trapped with these 3 common lies and myths. There's a ton of bad advice out there when it comes to realizing your dreams for a peaceful world, using much of the same thought and perspective that has gotten us into this predicament. For starters, you may believe some things just can't be changed. It's a myth called, "That's the way it is." I used to buy into this lie myself. However, the truth is, nothing has to remain as it has been. In fact, it doesn't. Though we may try to make it remain the same, you can check with Mother Nature on that. And once you discard that mistaken belief, you may also find the popular myth, "We have no choice, just waiting and suffering for many years hoping for any substantial progress," also falls by the wayside. Many folks I know bought into this one, but believe it or not, progress comes relatively fast when you do it as a unified, cohesive group. Another common myth with many people wanting a better life is a real motivation killer. You may fall victim to the myth, "The experts and authorities will take care of it." But believe it or not, it is only when you, I, and many others get together that real change can and will occur, as the experts and authorities are often too focused on their own exclusive agendas. Allowing these myths to obliterate your motivation and diminish your power leads to apathetic frustration, leaving you with hoping and praying somehow it will get better. Simply put, you don't think you or anyone can change the way it is, or you participate in that ever-present energy-draining activity, complaining. So how did all this misinformation get to being so common? Some believe it's all thanks to our education system, guiding us to accept and believe only certain ideas. And some feel that certain leaders and the media perpetuate division by inflaming fear, anger, and hate, while I lean toward thinking it's the individuals, groups, and organizations who emphasize and perpetuate differences. Regardless, there is one universal truth when it comes to living in a more unified, compassionate world, and it just so happens to be not the basis of how most people are functioning now. What's truly holding us back is much deeper than previously considered, and clearly quite insidious. It's the root cause of all those commonly blamed reasons for undesirable behavior. If you want to know what's really holding you back from realizing your dreams of a peaceful world for you and for everyone, it's this: separation. A perceived concept that we are not connected to each other or anything, that each of us is all alone and must fend for ourselves. Thus, the root of thinking you must exclusively do and get for yourself and then protect it at all costs. And this leads us to exclusively group together, only with people we feel some specific connection with. From this perception of being separate, we are easily divided individually or as smaller groups through highlighting differences as something to be feared and hated. Individuals, groups, organizations, and governments have long used the divide and conquer technique to influence and control people for centuries. Essentially, separating people reduces their power and influence while leading to fear, hatred, distrust, fighting, and killing of each other. This divisive manipulation serves to break apart the powerful masses into small groups which can easily be manipulated and directed. Exacerbating differences leaves people more susceptible to the fear-mongering and agenda-serving manipulation of leaders. Then the fearful people will feel they need those leaders to protect them against the other feared groups, creating a dependence on the manipulative leaders. People who feel less empowered, even totally powerless, against the leaders are less likely to think they can challenge those in control or change the status quo. This divide and conquer technique has worked very well for those having influence and control, serving their exclusive agendas that often include little regard for the whole of society and you. And beyond all that, we have many so-called problems that are attributed to some undesirable human behavior, which we're trying to ask, tell, or make the offending individuals or groups change. Think about it. How long have people been trying to do this, and to what end? How much has all this effort actually changed human behavior through our history? Do you think just maybe we have been missing something? Consider this. On the surface, the causes of various issues appear very specific and different from other issues. Yet, what if that's not the case? What if the root cause is the same thing? And what if we have not been addressing the root cause? This is precisely where my realization led me, again, to separation. A perception of separation causes our perspective that we must do and get exclusively for ourselves, dividing into separate groups. Fear of others, dishonor, disrespect, and disregard for others, disharmony preventing unity, exclusive self-serving thought and behavior, hatred and bigotry, validation, justification, and defense of self and my way. Differences mean not connected. Individuality means separate. Fragmented energy and focus of power. Reliance on a leader or authority. More detail on what this means in our individual lives in a bit. First, let's look into separation as related to society and divide and conquer. Have you noticed how society is divided into many small groups of people, and that quite often we are arguing and fighting with each other over the differences we are focusing on, with politics, religion, race, and economic status being some of the big differences that are constantly used to divide and trigger us against each other. Consider that this is perpetrated and perpetuated by design, by a few influential people who want power to serve their own agendas. And keeping the populace divided and fighting among ourselves keeps our power and influence limited, fragmented, even doubted. Look at all the various issues we face that appear to be very specific, that only catches the interest of a select few individuals with the motivation to push for a specific change, who then have very little power and resources to challenge the defending status quo position. This can be seen in most efforts to bring about change. For example, remember the power and free reign the U.S. tobacco industry enjoyed for decades, and how it took a long time effort to overcome, basically due to the huge power and influence advantage the industry had over the small group of people desiring the change. Look around. You will realize how this dividing of people into small groups has vastly reduced the power and influence the citizens themselves have with their own society. We have learned to function with the perspective that everything is a separate issue, that our energies and focus towards changing them is divided and greatly reduced, often even dissipated completely as we have become frustrated, complacent, and distracted with whatever small feeling of satisfaction we can find. It's like having the measles and focusing your attention on dealing with one single spot when there is really one base cause to them all. It's actually good news to realize when we dig deeper into the various issues we desire to change that we discover that they all share the same foundational cause, a perception of separation. This helps us realize that coming together into one change effort will actually support and serve all change efforts. Now, getting back to how serious the effects of separation are personally, however they are expressed, separation is the basis of more problems than us being divided socially and manipulated by a few influential parties. A perception of separation can be the foundational basis of how we operate our individual lives, affecting our perspective and subconscious patterns, which direct most of our daily thought, reactions, and behavior. Basically, how we perceive life and ourselves affects how we experience and interact with people and the world. To the degree you perceive that you're either separate or connected to all people and planet determines your daily functional perspective, how you think, react, behave, experience, and interact with other people and the world. Now this may sound strange, different, or new to you. Yes, I get it. You're not alone. Remember, in the beginning I warned you this is not what has been talked about before. Typically, we have attempted to change undesirable behavior by addressing the thought which preceded the undesirable behavior along with the behavior itself. And I ask, how has this been working out for humanity, society, for yourself? And we have commonly looked at selfish, greedy, and uncaring behavior as just how some people are, trying to personally and socially do our best to live around them, and even removing them if we can. And we humans are very good at finding some outside cause to blame for such poor behavior, ignoring and never addressing the actual root cause, which is deeper in the mind. This is why, through the centuries, efforts to change human behavior have not yielded very much actual change. Consider, if you ask, tell, or try to force an individual who is operating mainly through a mindset of separation to be nice, caring, or compassionate to others, it will not compute with them. It won't make logical sense. You will be seen as the crazy one, and you will likely be demeaned for bringing it up. Functioning with the separation mindset is why many individuals become controlling and dominant in society and government, and don't seem to care about addressing the interests of the whole of society. They mainly serve what is exclusively in their self-interest. and why some people in business, groups, and organizations only care about their specific agendas, with little to no regard for other people and planet, even to the point of having animosity and hatred towards anyone not agreeing with them. How much of this kind of behavior have you noticed? So much of what we accept as normal and go along with as what is rooted in a perception of separation. And we wonder why things don't seem to change much personally, socially, and globally. Why so many things are commonly supported and perpetuated that don't serve most people, the whole of humanity, and the earth. And why we are experiencing so much discord, frustration, and anxiety ourselves. This may sound bleak, but believe me, there is a solid path to that deep yearning you feel. Stick with me here. This is going to get more interesting. First, a warning about the separation perception. This can be very insidious and elusive. It can be part of your normal, your reality. It may be within your foundational perceptions about life and self, and at the very root of how you operate, and you may not be aware of it at all. Most people are not. What goes on in our mind at this level is rarely looked at or discussed. Even now, as you're hearing about this, you may be feeling an uncomfortable resistance. This is because your foundational perceptions about life and self are ingrained into who you think you are and how you relate to life. So even the mention of this can feel like an attack on your self-identity. Believe me, I know. There is a very active part of your mind that protects who you think you are deep down, at a level you may not be aware of, to where even when you attempt to entertain a new and different idea yourself, there is resistance felt. I understand. I went through feeling this way myself when I began to look deeper into the inner workings of my mind, and questioning why I was repeating the same patterns of perspective, thought, and behavior. I think you can see now how many people are strongly defensive of their behavior, perspectives, and ideas, to where they initially resist considering anything new and different. It all seems to be based on what appears as reality to them, to each of us. Okay, please take a couple of slow, long, deep breaths to settle any reaction, and we will go on. So what are some of the indicators of this separation-based perception? The red flags that you should pay attention to and how you can spot with yourself and with others. Basically, it's about being inclusive or exclusive with your perspective, thought, and behavior. When an individual's self-concept is based on being alone and separate, it's not connected to the whole of life nor to other people. They tend to think and act more exclusively, only for themselves, often with little to no regard for other people or the planet. This exclusive perspective is based on a foundational perception of separation. Whereas when a person sees themselves as connected to the whole of life, as part of one humanity, what they desire for themselves is inclusive of others. They know they are connected, they include others, and intend no harm to other people or the planet. How we each perceive life and self is not a cut and dry one or the other concept. We each are operating through a perception somewhere on a spectrum between separation and connection. This oneness is what I call our inherent connection with the whole of life, before we could perceive otherwise. And where our operating perception is between the two determines how inclusive or exclusive our thought and behavior is. Hopefully you are beginning to see how many individuals, governments, and organizations can easily think and act exclusively for their specific interests, with many showing little to no regard for other people or the planet. There is a lot more to how the foundational perception of separation affects us personally, socially, and globally, which we'll expand upon at a later time. For now, some indicators of a separation-based mindset can be easily noticed when you know what you're looking for. For starters, pay attention to how you may be permitting yourself to be divided and directed by a purposefully constructed and perpetuated fear. This is likely based on an individual or group trying to manipulate you into complying with their self-serving agenda, to even helping them with it. Have you noticed how this creates a division that tends to separate you from other people, leading to a dislike of them, and possibly a willing to treat them as less than yourself, to even harm or eliminate them? Another separation-based perspective is seeing other people as having less value than yourself, not as worthy or deserving of you. Possibly determined from appearance, different ideas or lifestyles in another country, heritage, what they do or don't do, or any other judgmental comparisons. This leads to a divisive behavior, all based on a perception that differences equate to being separate, not connected. thus a perceived justification to treat some people with lower regard or worse. Here's another way separation is perpetuated, with group agreement and camaraderie. This can seem contrary at first, yet is one of the most powerful expressions of separations we can get involved in. Belonging to a group of like or similar-minded people seems to be beneficial, which it can be, until it becomes tied to your self-identity. Then watch out. The validation of specific ideas, concepts, and beliefs from a group can lead to the appearance of proving a specific claimed truth by the group's consensus, further serving to create a climate of us and them, and the camaraderie emboldens members to take actions to justify and defend their position against anything different. I would venture to say you have seen or heard of the violence that can come from members aligning with sports teams, politics, and other groups with deep belief attachments. As indicated earlier, the solution of all this, I discovered, goes deeper than only addressing the behavior and supporting thoughts. Yet commonly, any corrective attempts don't seem to go any deeper, which hasn't resulted in much real change in how people treat each other. We have just accepted that this is the way people are, that we must deal with harmful and destructive actions. We have accepted that nothing can be done about human behavior. We just follow along being subject to these kinds of behaviors, and we often declare a separation from people due to their behavior. Now consider, when an individual causes harm to another person, this can only happen when the individual is operating as disconnected, perceiving themselves as separate from the other person. Whereas if they perceive they are connected to the other person, they could not mistreat them any more than they could mistreat a part of their own body. As helpful as these examples may be, they are just indicators to enhance our awareness. However, in order to convey the impact and power that understanding this can bring into your life, it can be helpful to let you in on the backstory. This is what laid to the foundation of my discovering a viable solution to altering the separation mindset, and a path to being the change that made all the difference in my own life, and then how this can affect you and all of humanity. On this journey, the realization that I am connected with all people changed my life forever. One of the secrets to successfully discovering this was the practice of considering the mental process an individual goes through in order to behave as they do. Through studying and talking with many individuals, seeking to recognize the deeper and deeper layers of cause behind specific behavior and way of thinking. And even more important, I discovered the specific characteristics that cause behind individuals who are expressing and interacting with more love and compassion and unity, and how it differed with those individuals acting with greed and other undesirable self-serving agendas. In realizing that I felt better around individuals with more unifying behaviors than those operating as separate, I became very selective in looking at myself and asking, which of these characteristics am I not being, feeling, and expressing for myself, looking down through to the deepest foundational layers influencing my life. Then asking, how could I integrate more desirable characteristics into my life so that I too could feel, know, and act more unified, be more connected to all people and life itself? I learned to spot the consistent perceptions which lead to certain kinds of perspectives, thinking, and behaviors. Then I thought, it's great when something works for one or two people, but what if it's the same for many? I decided to do a pattern spy. I wanted to see if the individuals that functioned in a more compassionate way had something in common. That way I could possibly discover the root cause of this beneficial behavior, and I actually found quite a few such individuals. One of the most clear advantages of individuals living in a more compassionate state of being is the Dalai Lama. He is a fairly well-known individual who appears to be very calm and at peace. He appears to not hate or even dislike anyone. There is a definite why behind how he behaves, which I found to be a common pattern shared with others as well. At the foundation of the state of being is his knowing he is connected to all of humanity. I found that knowing and living this connection is the common thread behind kind, loving, compassionate, unified behavior. Who do you know who seems to be like this? Basically at peace with themselves and life, not hating, compassionately considerate of others, and behaving more inclusively rather than exclusively. Do they rarely, if ever, butt heads in anger with other people? Do they seem to not have much fear or stress? Or they probably don't get angry or even frustrated much? Basically, they are pretty much unflappable. They appear to be in a peaceful emotional state most of the time, and they tend to want for everyone what they want for themselves. Now, this could be you, someone you know or someone you've observed. This critical difference of knowing you are connected affects how you think and behave, how you treat others. Well, how does this apply to you and the changes you want for yourself and the world? Have you ever said to yourself, sure, that's inspiring, if I don't have to face all the restrictions, rules, along with the economic and social pressures to pull it off? You know, I used to think the same thing, yet this is the fact of the matter. It's how you perceive a situation and how you see yourself that determines what it means to you. More importantly, how you think about it determines your motivation and the actions you take or don't take. In reality, they face the same life situations we do, yet they perceive people and situations differently. They don't react in ways that negatively alter their state of being. They know that a situation or certain behavior is not who they are. Thus, what has happened does not alter their perception of who they truly are and what may be possible. This relates to another common myth, that people who are successful at getting things done and making changes for the better don't have to face the kinds of obstacles and struggles that I do. This may sound reasonable, but it's simply a myth. As I found out, it's one holding you back from solutions that actually work. Through a long journey of frustrating ups and downs, I finally discovered what those who are highly successful at making powerful change have in common. After studying many change success stories, looking for repeatable trends and patterns, this really stuck out as a quality they all shared. They achieved success by focusing on the desired result, not the roadblocks made visible by the apparent problem, and not from the perspective of eliminating or altering the problem, rather from the root cause. Just saying stop doing that, even to yourself, doesn't usually get results. Motivation to change comes from changing the why behind the behavior. It's as simple as, when you want something, you think and act in ways to get it, right? Then the motivation behind your thinking and actions is only stopped either when you obtain it or you eliminate your desire for it. The why is either satisfied or changed. By channeling their focus and attention onto their preferred outcomes and why they desire them, their energy and motivation remained high, leading them to realizing success, without remaining tangled in the details of the problem and being captivated in a reaction to it. I noticed that the most successful change makers were doing this consistently, and in general they were constantly happy and peaceful, even while working through any trials and tribulations leading to the desired outcome. At first this slipped by me. To be honest, I used to think I was a pretty savvy change maker, until I started role modeling other folks who had this down. And once I did, I never looked back. Within several months, my entire outlook on how real change occurred, how I could change myself and be the change in the world, it escalated. And the success I had once struggled to find finally found me. This experience left me with one powerful truth. If you truly wish to experience the life you desire for yourself and others, it's critical that you utilize what's called the new mechanism for change. When I finally shared the concept of the new mechanism for change with a small number of people, the consensus was, that's the answer. How real change is possible. This changes everything. So what is it? The new mechanism for change helps you see and change the root cause behind behavior and supporting thought, leading to see more clearly why people are thinking and doing as they do, and realizing the single change which alters everything with how a person interacts with life, other people, and the planet. You could say, this new mechanism returns you to your original perception about life and self. Here's the mind-blowing discovery. You and I and everyone are all parts of the one humanity, all parts of all that is, connected with everything. You and I are one with the whole of life. This is our inherent connection, our oneness. We are all connected as one before any and all attempts at describing and defining anything about life and who we are. Yet many people are operating as if they are disconnected, acting as separate from each other. Let me unpack this a little bit further for you. First, looking at fixing or changing some behavior is not done effectively by addressing just the behavior or even the thought behind it. This keeps you entwined with the kind of thinking and mindset that led to the issue in the first place, just trying to rearrange it for the better, while still complying with the foundation it was built upon, much like expecting that stirring a pot of soup will change it. The only way to really change the soup is to dump the whole pot and look at why it was made that way in the first place. Picture this. There is a foundational perception at the root of how you are operating your life, which affects and directs all aspects of how you are being, who you think you are, and it influences your thought and behavior, all of it. Now consider, what if this base perception about life and self you are operating from was altered to some degree from its pure nature when you were born, as you were influenced by the environment and people you experienced early on? And what if this alteration has led millions of people to think and behave in ways that don't serve them, society, and the world? Although this certainly may seem normal, there is a good chance they are operating through a perspective based on an altered foundational perception of being not connected to other people, as being separate. I want you to imagine the new mechanism for change as if it were a download update directly into your mind, resetting your most basic perception about life and self back to its original state, before any acquired reasons to perceive other people as separate. A reset that will automatically lead to the most powerful changes to human behavior ever accomplished, leading to a human unification never experienced in recorded history. A download that reprograms your foundational perceptions about life and self, revealing the wisdom and knowledge of our innate connectedness. You, me, everyone, everything. This, our innate oneness. Operating from our innate oneness eliminates the root cause of undesirable human thought and behavior, which leads to our suffering and destruction. And, coming from this re-recognized foundational perception of being connected, eliminates much of the struggle of trying to figure it all out from the many end results. Our thoughts and behaviors appear to be the problems, yet are actually symptoms of perceived separation. I've discovered a few insightful points along the way that help with comprehending the new mechanism for change and the potential with applying it personally and socially. Here's my first insight. All of us humans are operating through our individual perceptions, which determine our subconscious habitual patterns, as well as our functional perspective, and governs our reactions, thoughts, and behavior. Essentially, it's the foundation determining how we interact with life. What we see as reality, what we are aware of, how we are aware, our interactions, how we think, our behavior, our habitual automatic reactions, and more. Consider how different your life, society, and the world would be if most everyone operated from a perspective that we are all connected as one humanity. This reveals why behavior change has been so slow. People have commonly tried to change at the level of the behavior itself, and maybe the thinking behind it, but usually not at the root of the cause, the guiding perception. Here's another helpful insight. Most of your daily functionality is determined and guided by subconscious habit patterns that you are not usually aware of consciously. They automatically affect your reactions, how you see and interpret everything, even what you are aware of, your entire functional perspective, which are all based on your foundational perceptions of life and self. This becomes who you think you are, how life is. It appears just as what is, your reality. Another key insight. Our concept of self is also based on our foundational perceptions and directed through our subconscious habit patterns, affecting our day-to-day state of being. Much attention within the fields of psychology, philosophy, religion, and spiritual teachings deal with our concept of self as the basis of our thought and behavior. Yet the underlying foundational perceptions are not often addressed, with the most basic being, are we connected or separate, which affects everything. From these points, I think you can see how easy it is for all of us to keep going on as we have been, as we are basically operating from the same foundational premise, some degree of separation. Even when we are talking about thinking and trying to change for the better, it's mostly based on separate individual desires. Remember that scorpion I showed you earlier? Well, the scorpion operates from a fixed perception of what it is and how it will behave. Have you heard the story of the scorpion and the frog? Basically, the scorpion asked the frog if the frog would take it across the river. The frog says, "No, you'll just sting me," with the scorpion replying, "I will not, as we would both drown." So the frog agrees. Then partway across, the scorpion stings the frog. Then the frog says, "You said you would not sting me." Then the scorpion says, "It's just what I do." You see, the scorpion cannot behave in a way contrary to its foundational perceptions and programming, even though it consciously intends otherwise. You and I will just as quickly sting other people when they are seen as not connected to ourselves. We humans operate in the same way, except for one extremely important difference. We can alter our foundational perceptions, our habitual programming, and our perspective, which alters our reactions, thinking, and behavior. Realizing that you are connected to the whole of life, to everything, or whatever you want to term it as, will drastically change your life. And the more you realize this, the more connected and unified you will feel, think, and act. This is how you come to a place of personal peace, and how you function more inclusively with people rather than exclusively. As you realize that you are more than the specifically defined self-identity limiting who you are, you find more peace, happiness, and possibility in your life. On the surface, this may sound too simple. Well, it is quite simple. We human beings are all connected with each other as one humanity, even after we came to erroneously perceive otherwise. Can you now see why you might be accepting so much puzzling human behavior, lack of positive change, and a feeling that your endless frustrations are normal? And how many people talk about wanting beneficial change, yet are operating as if they're separate from all others, which still leads to exclusively self-serving results, as in, let's get along, my way? So what do you do next? These insights, as revealing as they are not enough to really get any of us who desire change to actually move forward with the kinds of changes we want for ourselves, or to challenge the powerful status quo operating in society. That requires another critical important step. Let me share how I came up with what many individuals seeking to make effective change call the critical factor for maximizing the new mechanism for change and shifting into a functional reality. Briefly, over the past 4 decades of analyzing how life works and what we can do with it, what I have discovered has been nothing short of extraordinarily insightful and powerfully different. It became clear that there was one root cause to all human problems, which are actually symptoms. The result is a single basic shift for anyone desiring to make real change that enables you to finally transcend perceived limitations, overcome past sticking points, and enjoy living in a more pleasurable unity with all people, the planet, and life itself. This does it all without the endless headbanging, frustration, and suffering of continual disappointment, or the ongoing lifestyle discomfort you're possibly experiencing now. On top of that, it's a plan that just about every changemaker who's been exposed to it finds it groundbreaking, simple, profoundly pivotal, life-changing. Predominantly operating through a mindset of separation has not only divided us individually, it divides us socially and globally, as specific groups, religions, societies, ancestries, languages, countries, organizations, governments, and more, which are all valid differences. Only we have allowed what appears as differences to mean separation, a disconnection as us and them. Now this is important. The simple bottom line with human behavior is we will honor, respect, help, and treat well those we feel connected to. And we will tend to disrespect, fear, be unconcerned about, and mistreat those we feel not connected to. Facing the root of this divisive separation and doing something about it is where we are right now as human beings, if we are wanting to evolve. Yes, your first responsibility is to yourself, to realize that you are a part of the whole of life, to think and act as such. Like they tell us on the airplane, put on your oxygen mask first. Then what do? You help others, realizing that you and all people are parts of the one whole of humanity, just as you have multiple parts that make up your body. You are then essentially helping your greater self when you help yourself and others, acting as all parts together once you know you are connected. Just as your personal responsibility to your body does not stop at 1 or 2 organs, it's up to each of us to assist the whole of humanity. We are all in this together. It's time for humanity to come together as one functioning unit, group, or organism, to cooperate, not just as small groups, rather all of us together. We have proven clearly that it has been through cooperation that we survive, progress, improve, and even increase our longevity. And we can plainly see that our discord is based on too much of a separation-based perspective and the resulting exclusive self-serving behavior. Let me introduce to you what we are going to do about it. The Living Unity Consciousness Movement. The Living Unity Consciousness Movement is an action movement connecting together the people, groups, and organizations all desiring to bring humanity into a better honoring, respecting, and serving the needs of all people and the planet. Individually thinking and acting as we are inherently connected will virtually fast-track us into a functional unity, recognizing that all human issues are actually symptoms of one single problem or error, a foundational perception of separation. There is now one single solution which will serve to bring together all the fragmented change efforts. Yes, they are each somewhat unique, yet they share the same core cause: separation-based perspectives and behaviors. Consider for a moment the beneficial consequences of eliminating greed, exclusive self-serving behaviors, hate, fear, disregard, disrespect, even ignorance. So why not combine the forces of all change efforts into one, regaining our power and influence? Here's some of what you can look forward to experiencing and accomplishing together with us in the Living Unity Consciousness Movement. We can employ the power of large numbers to finally overcome the self-serving agendas of the influential powers controlling politics and business, regaining our power of numbers. We will benefit from the effectiveness of bringing various change efforts together into one movement, eliminating the manipulative divide and conquer techniques used by those wanting to keep us fragmented, fearful, and reliant upon them. We will easily join together the energies of many people, no longer relying on just a few individuals struggling to be influential enough to bring about change. We will all add to the whole effort. Now each of us will count more, much more. You might be wondering, will the Living Unity Consciousness Movement do something for me? Not sure if this can work for you, even if you think you've tried just about everything when it comes to improving your life, and you think you're doing what you can for society and the world? Well, let me set you at ease. During the years I spent looking for more clarity about our human behavior, focusing on analyzing how the mind works, honing, testing, and retesting, and looking deeper and deeper into the root cause of all behavior, going beyond the current explanations, and then studying how many successful individuals and social change examples I could examine, when I truly recognized that I was connected to everyone else, to all of life, everything changed. This is our inherent connection. It's real, not just a spiritual concept. Scientists are now collaborating that we and everything are all made of the same stuff. When I was able to get more that as individuals we are all connected as humanity, one something, or the whole of life, I was able to get more clarity on what is sometimes referred to as our innate oneness. By standing on the shoulders of those who already know this, and thanks to some of my own unique insights that help connect the dots, you now have at your fingertips the vehicle millions of us will use to engage with to improve our individual lives by personally realizing your inherent deep connection with all people and the earth, and to be the change helping bring humanity into a functional unity against all odds. The Living Unity Consciousness Movement can work for us when virtually nothing else has been able to bring humanity together in large-scale cooperation. As unity and cooperation clearly works so consistently with smaller groups, it's considered to be success insurance for creating and maintaining a unified, cohesive group. But why just smaller groups? Why not one overall cohesive group, a unified humanity? First, consider how you will feel being connected to more people, to life itself. As the Living Unity Consciousness Movement, we are utilizing the new mechanism to shift into a more unified society, by helping literally everyone be the change they want for themselves and the world. Even if you have struggled with time and motivation, are often frustrated with the lack of forward progress, or even you think you're at the end of your rope, if you don't yet understand how this can work, or you're struggling personally. And get this, even if you've seen little up till now to keep your hopes up. The Living Unity Consciousness Movement has been conceived to include more individuals in ways that will help you each be the change, while you continue to have the time and energy to honor and maintain your family and other responsibilities at the same time. So what beneficial feelings can you count on? What can you expect with being involved? Very quickly, from just saying, I'm in, your mindset, your attitude, and your energy will elevate. You will feel connected to something that matters, bigger than any of us. You are part of something new, different, that has not been done before. Be excited seeing what other people are doing together. Feel deeply energized as the movement grows and progresses, and be more positive and hopeful than you have in a long time, knowing you're on the right path. We're on the right path. You will feel more personally empowered and confident. Feel the joy of being more connected to more people, and of course, gain a new perspective on who you are. And you will notice you're dropping much of the fear and frustration, feeling more calm and peaceful, being more open to change. Your thoughts will begin to look to possible solutions. More friendly individuals in your day, less hate and bigotry. People are nicer to each other, and more people waking up to our innate connection. Now seeing more new possibilities for yourself, for everyone, that the unity of humanity just may be viable, a gradual diminishing of resistance to beneficial change, that we can all get along, individuals respecting and caring for each other, the increasing evidence of our oneness in more people's behavior. And this is just the beginning. It just keeps getting better as we continue to have more real influence and positive effect on the various change effects. All moving forward through a combined solution. We will continue to gain momentum, shifting the basic paradigms and systems that are foundational to all societies and the world. This is the kind of successful shift you and humanity absolutely deserve and will finally get to experience. Letting you quickly get past those sticking points that may have deferred beneficial change in the past, empowering you to enjoy seeing consistent progress with cooperative change efforts as more people connect together in a common cause, providing you a way to experience a surging confidence and personal empowerment to bring forth the kind of life and world you have dreamed about, to powerfully guide you to realistically see how life, society, and the world can honor, respect, and serve all people so much more effectively. Quickly decode the best way for you to see desires realized, your dreams fulfilled, and a real change in your life, your society, and the world with the major obstacles removed. Open the floodgates of your individual personal expression without so many restrictive deterrents, and more. And please, don't just take my word for it. There are individuals who already know the power and wonder of our innate connectedness and what a perceived separation causes. They speak for themselves through history, as their words reveal. Pit race against race, religion against religion, prejudice against prejudice, divide and conquer. We must not let that happen here, said Eleanor Roosevelt. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will live as one, John Lennon. A human being is part of the whole, called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. We experience ourselves, our thoughts, and feelings as something separate from the rest. Our task must be to free ourselves from the prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. Albert Einstein. We cannot live only for ourselves. 1,000 fibers connect us to our fellow men, and among those fibers, as sympathetic threads, our actions run as causes, and they come back to us as effects. Herman Melville. We are like islands in a sea, separate on the surface but connected in the deep, said William James. It really boils down to this, that all life is interrelated. We are all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one destiny affects all indirectly. Martin Luther King, Jr. It's a man's social nature which distinguishes him from the brute creation. If it is his privilege to be independent, it is equal his duty to be interdependent. Only an arrogant man will claim to be independent of everybody else and self-contained. Mahatma Gandhi. Our ancient experience confirms at every point that everything is linked together, everything is inseparable. The Dalai Lama. And the list goes on of individuals who know they are innately connected together with all people. Most are not as well known as those I quoted. Backed by the evidence, when people feel connected to others, they feel closer to them, treat them with honor, respect, and kindness. They are more caring, loving, and compassionate with others. They join together and cooperate to progress more. We have not survived as lone, separate entities, rather through joining together in cooperation. It has become quite evident. None of us can think and act in a caring, cooperative, and unified way without knowing we are connected. Look, the truth is quite simple. It becomes more obvious when we recognize we already do this with family, friends, and in groups. We have the ability to feel connected to other people. We can be as connected for other people as we are for ourselves. We can treat others well, as we want to be treated. However, the pervasive perception that we are somehow separated from everyone else has led to divisive patterns of uncaring, disrespect, fear, animosity, hate, and exclusively self-serving behaviors of all sorts, which serve to perpetuate a disconnection, where each individual or specific group functions only for the benefit of their own exclusive self-interest and survival. Why aren't we using the same connection abilities to align with and care for the whole of humanity? Could it be because some separation-minded individuals have created mechanisms and systems that cater to their exclusive desires, and the rest of us are just agreeing to remain playing by those rules, serving their agendas? Consider how many rules and laws have needed to be enacted basically to deal with those individuals who behave in exclusively self-serving ways, those with such a low value perception of anyone or anything other than themselves that they would so easily disregard and abuse others and the planet. So, do we continue under the separation perspective of ourselves and humanity, applying band-aids to human behavior, expecting it to change, or stirring the same pot of soup, hoping it will change? Continuing to push each other back and forth, trying to get everyone to do it my way, following more than we proactively influence, even in our own lives. Basically wasting precious lives and resources by not cooperating as a whole humanity. Think about all that is expended by serving a divisive separation and what wonderfully beneficial things we could be doing with all the human talent and resources. The only real issue then is, how do we think and behave as connected with the whole of humanity, so we cooperate as one, serving and supporting all individuals? This is why the Living Unity Consciousness movement is here now, to assist with reawakening ourselves and everyone to our innate connection as one humanity, our natural oneness. The critical key is to know our inherent oneness. Then, everything else will work out as we each operate from this perspective of innate connection. We can see proof from the evidence of those individuals who already know and act as connected. The only litmus test needed for all of this to shift is, we each ask ourselves about our thoughts and actions. Does this serve separation or oneness? Considering all people and the planet just as you do parts of your own body. I know this is possible for all of us. I've seen it with too many people and felt it myself. That's why the Living Unity Consciousness movement has come forth out of my deepest intention and driving purpose, to assist with shifting humanity into a functional unity, while not insisting on some specifics of another my way. This must be our way. I may have gotten elected to instigate this, yet it is our movement. Imagine, if you will, a new reality, a new humanity, a new earth, where life itself is honored and respected, including all people and everything on earth, where this unity is rooted in our innate interconnection, our oneness, having us operating with love and compassion for all, where peace is the default operating paradigm as we live in harmony with each other and the planet, where people and resources are utilized to continually support and enhance all human expression and advancement, rather than to promote restriction and destruction. Is this not something worthy of moving forward with, sooner than later? Are you ready to move forward now? I honestly feel there are probably already enough people on Earth right now desiring real change for a critical mass shift to occur. We just need to all get together. This is what we will do. Operate through our innate oneness as unified together as one, undivided, unconquered. And to support this, I want to help you gain an even clearer vision, knowing a better, more unified and peaceful world is actually possible, that we don't need to remain trapped in old stagnant ways of thinking, perceiving, and behaving. The sooner we get moving forward, the sooner we will enjoy the results of living full, free lives. As you are getting a good glimpse of understanding the possibility I'm offering you today with the Living Unity Consciousness movement, you may be wanting to understand better how it is possible that our perception can change everything, and how we will be able to realize this kind of shift. I know this all may sound a bit new and different. It's not what has been commonly accepted and practiced on a social nor global level. Yet this is exactly why we must. So here's an overall idea of what we will be doing with the Living Unity Consciousness movement. Develop the largest ever group of individuals desiring a unified humanity where the needs and the individual expression of all people are valued, honored, and respected. Utilize our numbers to be influential in all areas of life in support of this unified humanity. Bring together all the various individuals and groups working for different areas of change into one supportive movement. Eliminate the divide and conquer paradigm in our societies and the world. Assist individuals with re-realizing their own inherent connection with the whole of life, with all people. Assisting individuals with re-realizing the changes they desire for themselves and humanity. Cultivate affirmative, forward-thinking masterminding of human evolution. Bring together into one central hub many different ideas, information, methods, products, services, and teachers we can utilize to enhance our lives and the world. Provide a central location where those offering assistance with awakening and change to offer their products and services. Let's go just a little bit further for starters. There is more. Beyond starting and nurturing the Living Unity Consciousness movement, there is immense value in understanding how your mind works and what you can do with it, and even what you have been doing with it, and how this has affected your life, society, and the world. I want to go way beyond this brief explanation to deepen your understanding and broaden your vision of how you will be able to utilize the new mechanism for change, to actually shift yourself and assist humanity into functioning in a more unified, peaceful, and fulfilling manner. First, I'd like you to have the report, The Root Cause of Human Behavior, to help you get a deeper grasp on the basic concept instigating this movement. As Albert Einstein said, we cannot solve our problems with the same level of thinking that created them. Let's take this a step further, realizing our thinking is not the root cause of our actions. We can't solve our human issues with the same perceptions and perspectives that created them. This is why it is so crucial for you to understand how our foundational perceptions of life and self are the root cause of what we commonly term as human problems, so that our vision of a mutually beneficial human evolution is realized through the new mechanism for change. Next, you'll receive complimentary access to Error of Separation, the Only Human Problem, providing a super important understanding for being the change, which is critical to realizing why there exists what we term as egotistic, self-serving, greedy, oppressive, and hateful behavior. The peace that you and so many people desire cannot come out of individuals operating through a perception of separation. Peace is the product of unity, where individuals and groups get along in harmony, and unity will only be possible when enough individuals know their innate connection with the whole of life and act like it. Finally, I insist on giving you another invaluable eye-opening report called The Divide, Conquer, and Influence Social Paradigm. Wait till you check this out. We collectively have both caused and allowed ourselves to be divided and conquered by a few people operating through a separation mindset, enabling them to further their exclusive self-serving agendas at the expense and detriment to all others, even ourselves. Being divided creates and exacerbates our fear and distrust of each other. It disempowers and minimizes us, and it keeps us fighting among ourselves. This then leads to apathy and disregard, as fear, aggression, and selective solutions are used to manipulate us. Receiving these 3 follow-up reports will serve to enhance the value of our vision, knowing a better, more unified, and peaceful world is actually possible when we are together. If you are serious about desiring a shift in humanity through real change, understanding what is in these reports is absolutely crucial, not to mention what it can do for you in your life. Most of it is not likely what you've heard before about life, about human thought and behavior, and how human beings can change both individually and socially. Heck, you may be thinking this whole thing is crazy. Yet consider, what has changed and bettered our lives? More of the same, or has it been the new ideas that were initially considered crazy? Yes, I have diverged from much of the long-standing conventional knowledge that has been accepted and applied for decades, even centuries, to get us where we are now. And that is the point, my intention. And getting really to the crux of this, it's about how we function. We humans tend to honor, respect, consider, and treat well the people and things we feel connected with. And conversely, we tend to dishonor, ignore, disrespect, don't consider, and even harm or destroy the people and things we don't feel connected with. So we must wake up to the fact that trying to get along with others while perceiving them as separate from us will not get the results humanity has been seeking for centuries. The key is then for us to feel, know, and act as more connected with each other. And this is something we each must do personally and then expand collectively in cooperation. My intention and hope is that from this presentation you have enough of a feeling that this is something different in a good way, that we will be able to change how we humans live and interact, individually and in our various societies and in a new humanity. The choice is yours. Align with us now as part of this movement of change today. Join the Living Unity Consciousness movement. Are you ready to do something that has never been done before, as we utilize perspectives and methods based on the very foundation of all thought and behavior? Can you see yourself helping create global unity and peace? And you know what? When you consider all the time invested in individuals, societies, and humanity with the same basic thinking, and recognizing that human behavior is still quite self-serving, you have to question how we could ever unify and stop mistreating each other and the planet, not just continuing to do more of the same. Well, after discovering what has been missing, I've decided to do something different. Believe me, this will be absolutely life-changing. You may already know and feel this is a special time in human history. The question is, will you wait for others and someday, or will you be the change now? We truly live in remarkable times. Many people are feeling and seeing the major shift welling up, wanting to be involved. The deep intentions, methods, and tactics we will utilize within the Living Unity Consciousness movement have their roots in successful change-maker role models. Through generations of select individuals knowing and living through their inherent oneness, now these strategies are made available to all of us, for all of us. And to be frank, it took a lot of hard work, trial and error, and painful lessons learned to get this far. Quite a few people telling me this makes no sense, that I'm nuts, some kind of a dreamer, or worse. Even now, some of this is hard for many individuals to grasp or conceive as even possible. I get that. It's not what we are all accustomed to as how it is and how it's done. Now is the moment to ask yourself, how has all that been working for me, for us, for humanity? My role will continue to be helping you and everyone to clearly understand the why and how of this, which is why I made the 3 reports I mentioned earlier. And there is much more. That vision I got for this is vast, yet just the beginning. What if the new mechanism for change dislodges us from what's been holding humanity back? I'm betting my life that it does. Here's why we can now move forward. I've found and revealed what has been eluding most people for centuries. That elusive mystery that has led to so much heartache and frustration around trying to change the undesirable human behavior and social conditions. The mystery is now unlocked. What you need to do now is act. That's the one thing I nor anyone can do for you. I wish I could make it all happen, but it takes all of us to be a different humanity than we have been for so long. We each have that right, and it is our right, your right to choose how you will be involved. Your right to look your loved ones in the eye tonight and say, I did something truly great today, something that will benefit us all, something I believe in. And right now that choice is sitting in your lap. You can choose to continue on the current path, filled with more months, years, and even decades of hoping someone will fix it, with the same thinking that got you and all of us here, in the comfort of something known. Think about it. How much is your state of mind worth to you? If this could relieve you of even a little bit of frustration and anxiety with your pursuit of a better life, how precious is your state of mind to your quality of life? And of course, considering the way your society and government functions also affects your quality of life. I'm more than confident you see the door of possibility has opened at least a crack, and now is the time to kick it wide open, to step on through it, to get moving forward today. Decide to help the Living Unity Consciousness movement become the crucial vehicle needed to bring forth the kinds of changes you and the world deeply desire. Consider the importance of living without regrets, drawing your own line in the sand. I've had enough. Time to stand. The absolute worst that can happen is that you will belong to a group that doesn't get off the ground, succumbing to what is that continually perpetuates how it has been. However, if you don't act, you may never realize your dreams. You could be part of why the movement never gains momentum, or perhaps even worse. You could remain stuck hoping and waiting for someone else to make things change, so that your personal dreams or your dreams for the world could come about. You could waste time waiting for this movement to be proven by others before you participate. However, this will cost you and all of us, I'm afraid to say. You may live to regret that, and I truly desire much more for you than that. I am the first to admit, this is not all figured and fully planned out up front. Nothing successful ever is. And very important, the Living Unity Consciousness movement is not another way that myself or anyone will be dictating some system, rules, and specific behaviors. The only key to this is knowing and living our innate oneness. All the details will evolve as we come together connected in unity. That's how powerful and life-altering knowing our innate oneness and living unified is. I have a vision for humanity, which is, together, our visions will be the change we all desire. If you are at all like me, you have this deep feeling that something can and will change with how humanity functions, affecting you personally. Well, this is it. We are here. This is the next step, bringing together a group of individuals envisioning major change for themselves and the world. Will you let me help you see what's possible through this discovery of the new mechanism for change and how together we are the change? Will you take the right action now, contributing to creating a more peaceful, compassionate world? This all depends on how quickly we build an influential movement. And there is no now, like right now, for each of us to be the change however we can. You may be thinking, what if I can't do much to actively participate? That's fine. Your active participation sure can help, yet is not necessary, as just your joining with us and being part of the movement is extremely important. Your intention energy counts. I know you will do what you can. Just telling other people what we are doing is very helpful. Or you may be thinking, am I too old? It doesn't matter how old you are. You are never too old to change the world. Or what if I don't know what to do? I ask that you just join with us. We need you. And at some point you may see something further that you can do. And how long will this take? I wish I knew. Sure, this may take longer than we hope, and we may need to make adjustments. Yet I see stopping as not an option. Like a rain dance, we shall keep on until it does. Remember, this will be the first real attempt at bringing humanity together as a functional unity. We are at a place where most realize that the state of the world and our society needs changing, and it's up to us, each of us. So there is a responsibility to start with yourself, then extend out into the realm of all humanity, which you are inherently a part of. The kind of change we need now to advance humanity beyond the predominant exclusive self-serving behavior requires all of us. The time has come for this major shift with the Living Unity Consciousness movement. Together as one, now it happens. Here is our beginning concept. The first phase, initial development and growing the community of change makers. You will be kept appraised of the progress with developing the movement. You will receive the 3 reports indicated earlier. You will be notified of information and connections you can use for your personal benefit. You can connect with us on the website, Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, and other media locations. Second phase, build a resource and connection hub. You will be able to access and participate with resources. You can help us connect with various change efforts. There will be information and connection to various change efforts and opportunities for involvement. You will be able to offer supportive information, articles, products, and services. Third phase, combining support for many change efforts, helping you to know about various change efforts going on. Establish a system of local groups you can start or become involved with. Participate in live regional connection events bringing people and ideas together. And more. Consider there are 237 action items noticed on the original mind map I drew as a beginning for this. Let's harness the power of our unity now. If you get this, if you know we cannot keep waiting in frustration, please join us. It's time for humanity to take a leap forward. It will take enough people connecting and cooperating for a single cause, encompassing the value, needs, and support of all people to trigger a critical mass shift. So who starts this kind of an overall massive shift? Certainly not those waiting for others to do it. It relies on you and I, all of us coming together. Join me, join us. Simply choose Be the Change below. Look, you can put this off hoping it will happen without you, but isn't that what most people have done for centuries? When will we break the pattern of continually just allowing it to be as it is? There is no more wondering why. How do you think the stuff you don't want to happen happens? And how do the people doing these things get away with it over and over? They rely on most of us not questioning, getting involved, or taking action. Now we have the opportunity, with a new method and perspective, to stop and change these patterns. My vision, honest intention, and driving purpose are the engine that led to the boldness to begin this. Now I'm asking you to add your engine to this train, and we will be unstoppable.